Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. I'm not even in denial about this situation, but I think I made a huge mistake dating Axel. We met in college while I was having my party girl phase, and Alex, well, he's always been the life of the party. At that time, Alex was perfect for me. He was fun, loud, outgoing, funny, and just everything that I wanted at that stage in life. I wouldn't say I was perfect, far from it. I'd say I had gotten out of school pretty beaten up, pretty exhausted, and just out of it. School was not a fun experience for me. While I was in school, I was surrounded by all the wrong people, people who were probably just as lost as I was. So, this messed up version of me that I was back in high school came to college and immediately met the wrong crowd. But at that time, it felt really good because living life on the edge, living the dream college life, being popular, was all I wanted. I thought I was making it in life, and Alex was the force driving me towards all of it. But well, as one semester after the other passed by, and I saw my GPA worsen one after the other, I guess I got the slap on my face I desperately needed. I had come to college with an ambition, and although it wasn't anything crazy, but it surely meant something to me, and that something was putting myself through college and getting a job so that I wouldn't have to be dependent on my toxic parents. So, looking at the state of my grades really was a wake up call to me. I started studying, and although a little too late, but I did, and gratefully, I was able to graduate just in time and land myself a decently paying job. Bare minimum, I know, but here's the thing, guys. That's all I've ever wanted, making it more of a reason to push me into this dilemma. Is the bare minimum too much now? That's what I've been asking Axel, who's been doing absolutely nothing except for failing his classes and partying. He's been expelled from college. FFs, guys, and this guy still hasn't had an eye-opening experience. It feels like this guy is aging in reverse. You know how people mature as they age, right? But for Axel, it seems like he's been doing it the complete opposite. It feels like the more humbling life's experience must be to him, the more he seems to rebel out of it, convincing himself that what worse could happen? Partying day and night, demanding money from his parents, who have undeniably spoiled him rotten, sleeping all day, going out all night, no work, no education, you name it. This guy has done it all. And I have had enough of his bullshit, you all. I've tried talking to him numerous times, gotten us both into counseling, tried talking to his parents, his friends, and absolutely anyone I possibly could for advice, but it's been to no avail because it just feels like I've been screaming into an empty void. So I know you guys can't give me advice on the unfixable. I myself have given up on that, but it all just doesn't end here, you know? I guess saying it all just starts here would be a better line for this situation because it really does start once we broke up. So it's been a month since I've broken up with Axel, and he's been going absolutely crazy because I guess he thought I wasn't going to follow through with my threats, but I did, and boy, did he go absolutely feral over it. He showed up at my friend's door, the place of my work, my gym, you name it. Axel was everywhere. I was so close to my breaking point, and then he just pushed me to it, and it was all last week. I was coming out of the gym as usual, but for some reason, I was stopped by the receptionist. She kept trying to have a conversation with me, which I was honestly okay with because I've spoken to her before. But then, out of absolutely nowhere, Axel showed up, and it wasn't just Axel. Axel showed up with his friends and some of mine with a whole bouquet of flowers in his hand. He handed me the flowers and I just stood there stunned because I was literally processing the moment. Everyone began cheering, clapping, and it was at that moment I realized Axel was proposing to me. He pulled out a ring box and got on his knees and, well, asked me the question. I was dumbfounded. I knew this was going to be humiliating for him, but I needed to stand my ground. The cameras were up everywhere, and I just said, "Haven't we broken up since the past month?" Silence filled the room. I didn't say much either. I left soon after, unsure as to what happened next. But regardless of whatever happened, one thing I am sure of is the fact Axel has not been happy. And he definitely hasn't been letting people know what's the truth behind the situation, especially his family, who are already delusional as to their golden child of a son. So you guys can only imagine the absolute shock I would have received when I got a call from Axel's mom, who said she was going to drag me to court for publicly humiliating her son. I am fully aware Axel and his very rich family are capable of BS like this, but really? Like, what the frick? Guys? I was left stunned at their audacity. It's been 2 days ever since I had this exchange with his mom. Aside from that BS, I've been the target of Axel and his friends' comments on social media. I am overwhelmed, disappointed, and exhausted. I just want to be left alone, guys. Is there even any way out of this? Am I really so much the a-hole that I deserve this? Any advice would be much appreciated. After reading all of you guys' suggestions and advice, I decided to first move out of the friend's place that I've been living in. I honestly wasn't planning to live there as a roommate forever to begin with, but was just trying to use that place as a temporary solution, at least until the next couple of months, since everything falls into place. But well, you guys are definitely right. The only way I can get myself out of this situation is uprooting myself from him completely. I haven't thought through the other logistics about this situation yet, but a restraining order is definitely on top of my mind. I've been doing research about the same regarding the laws in my country. I've started collecting as much evidence as I possibly can, but until I can find a firm solution out of this situation, I am planning to change the places I frequent. The gym, the cafe, etc. I have put forward a request to my work so that I can work remotely. Hopefully, they will accept my request as soon as possible. As for the main part, did I get sued by Axel's family? The answer is no. I haven't heard absolutely anything from his family ever since that one call. I don't know if that means it's the silence before the storm or just an empty threat. Regardless, I'll keep you guys updated. I wasn't hoping to update this post so early, but what happened left me so shocked that I knew I just needed to update this post. So you guys remember how I told you guys I decided to move out of my friend's house where I was previously living because I wanted to avoid Axel at all costs? Yeah, that house. Axel decided to show up there drunk out of his mind. He knocked the door for hours straight. My friend was scared. She ended up calling the cops, and that too did not end well because Axel tried to fight the cops away. Eventually, I was called up to give my statement too. Looking at my friend so scared, I just knew I had to be honest and open. I knew I couldn't let her suffer the way that I did just because this sick freak of a man couldn't take a no. Well, that was amazing because that flicked a switch for Axel's family. They suddenly were so nice to me because, hey, guess what? Me suing for harassment and stalking is going to hold better in court instead of the stupid public humiliation charges. I didn't let them speak, though, because I knew the tactics they were going to use. Instead, I immediately told the cops I wanted to file a restraining order against Axel, his family, and even some of his friends. It's been a long process, but the silence has definitely been amazing for my mental health. The restraining order has not been finalized yet, and as for Axel trying to break into my friend's house, she's still considering pressing charges. I know everything after this is going to be a pretty slow process, and honestly, as long as these sick people are going to be away from me, I'm okay with it. Hey everyone, I'm not sure if you guys remember me, but here I am. I know I should have posted an update earlier, but I just needed a break off of this situation, and boy, did I give myself a break. So finalizing the restraining order against Axel and his family, I ended up booking myself a flight to the Bahamas. I spent a good 15 days there just reevaluating everything and giving myself the breath of fresh air I very well deserved. After that, I flew back to the States, spent the rest of the time finding an apartment, and well, here I am. Today is the first day of me moving into this beautiful apartment, and most importantly, its beauty is enhanced by the fact that it's all far away from Axel. Oh, yeah. And as for Axel, he's in jail now. My friend decided to press charges for the break-in attempt, and although I cannot share too many details about the situation, what I can tell you guys is that he's going to spend a good chunk of time there with his family, not being able to do much about it. So here's the final update, guys. It was a huge roller coaster of emotions, and I know I haven't handled everything perfectly, but there's also a part of me that knows I've done the right thing. And now I just hope I don't ever have to open this chapter of my life again, ever. NTA, tell them to sue you and see where it goes. Sounds like a bunch of empty threats to me. NTA, reading the update gave me such a sigh of relief. Way to go, OP. I'm really upset about this right now. I'm 17, female. My parents divorced when I was 12. It was really rough. They pretty much hate each other and still have trouble doing anything together, where I'm concerned. I try not to talk about them to each other and just keep things separate. All the fighting and chaos were hard on me and were affecting my mood and schoolwork. When it was all going down, so my dad felt bad and let me have a dog to help me feel better. Someone nearby had Malamute puppies, so I picked out one, and his name is Taicho. And he's my best friend. Even on the weeks I'm with my mom, I stop by after school every day to take him to the dog park to play and get his cuddles in. I love this dog. My dad started dating Melanie a few years ago. I don't really connect with her. We're just really different. And she's way too touchy. But she makes my dad happy, so whatever. Her son, Ben, 9 male, is autistic and needs a lot of accommodations. He gets really upset and has meltdowns when things change or are done differently. He's also really scared of Taicho, which, though as far as I know, Taicho has never done anything to scare him, he's a really laid-back and well-behaved dog. Dad and Melanie recently got engaged, and they want to go ahead and move her and Ben in so that they can get rid of their apartment and save money. My dad told me about it and said that since Ben is afraid of Taicho and needs a stable environment at home, Taicho is going to have to go somewhere else. My mom's townhouse doesn't have room for him, and my grandparents aren't in good enough health to look after a big dog, so we would have to rehome him. I admit I didn't take it very well, and we had a big fight. I told him that no way was I going to give up my dog, and I'm going to college next year anyway, so they can put off the move until the spring when I can find a place to take him with me. My dad says they need to do the move over the holidays, and Ben is more important than a dog. I told him if he gives away my dog, I'll never forgive him, and that he obviously thinks Ben is more important than me, too. My dad is mad because I'm making this a choice between me and his fiancé, basically. Melanie is having second thoughts about the engagement since I don't want to live with them. My mom is mad at my dad and they're fighting again, and I'm afraid to leave Taicho alone because he might not be there when I get back. My aunt says I'm being childish and my dad deserves to be happy. AITA? I talked to my mom and grandparents after school. I brought Taicho to my mom's place this afternoon, and I'm going to take him to my grandparents tomorrow. I'm going to split time between them and my mom for a while, and my grandparents said that if I go to college nearby, I can live with them while I study to make sure I don't lose my dog. So I'm going to look at maybe doing 2 years at a local college and then transferring to a university later. I haven't told my dad yet, but I will after I get Taicho settled tomorrow. I also went online and made sure his chip information is up to date with all my info and my mom's as a backup. Pretty sure all hell is going to break loose, but honestly, I do almost anything to not lose my dog, including just not going to college right now if that's what I have to do. He takes care of me, so I have to take care of him. It's been a rough few days. My dad flipped his shit when I told him I wasn't coming back to his place. And he and my mom are duking it out right now. My mom's lawyers asked me a bunch of questions and then said not to worry about it. Melanie called to find out what was going on, so I told her that if living with her and Ben means I lose my dog, I'm just not going to live there anymore. And she tried to talk me out of it because my dad didn't want to lose me. But I told her that's just how it is. I think they're fighting now, too. My grandparents said my dad is being totally unreasonable and he's not allowed to come on their property. Gonna be a fun Christmas. I'm just going to stay at my grandparents' and try to keep my head down until I go back to school. But Taicho seems to like it here. He has a lot more space to run around and still gets to sleep next to my bed, so he's happy at least. Okay, last update. So Melanie broke it off with my dad. My dad didn't talk to me for a while, but he finally asked to have lunch, so my grandpa went with me because he wanted to make sure I was safe. And my dad didn't yell at me. My dad apologized for trying to make me give up Taicho and wants me to come back home. I told him I would come to visit, but I'm still afraid he'll take my dog. Living with my grandparents has also been really nice. It's quiet. They appreciate me helping out with the farm, and my grandma is teaching me how to cook. He wasn't happy, but he said he understood, and we worked out a plan for me to visit for dinner a few days on the weeks that used to be his weeks. And I'm dropping by to see my mom most days on her weeks, but spending most of my time with my grandparents. I got a scholarship to the local branch of the state university, and it's only an hour and some away and has the degree program I want. So I think I'm going to go there for at least the first 2 years. I'm going to talk to admissions about getting a waiver from living on campus since I'm helping my grandparents. Both my parents are going to chip in on an allowance for me and Taicho while I'm in school. My mom says my grandparents can relax more and are feeling better with me there. Also, they love Taicho being around now too. So it's the best option for everyone, and I'll be able to budget for vet visits and everything. My dad is still mad at my mom and Melanie, but he doesn't want me to miss out on college, and he seems to be more himself after the first week of visits. Thank you all for the advice. I'm so relieved this has worked out. I've had hella anxiety over Christmas about all this, but I get to keep Taicho. Things are mending with my dad, and I'm on track for college. NTA, your dad shouldn't have given you a dog to take it away later. However, you also need to be prepared. It isn't easy to find a place to take a large dog. If your plan is to bring him with you, you need to be working and saving money. You will likely need to rent a house or a room in a house where they let you have him. And you'll have vet bills and food to cover. NTA, your father is essentially telling you to throw away a living creature who loves and trusts you and is important to your mental health so he can rush to move his new squeeze in. What happens if Ben doesn't like you? Do you get thrown out too? I'm being hyperbolic, but as an animal lover, I just despise people who think pets can be tossed like this. Your ask to wait until spring when you can take Taicho with you is not unreasonable. You're not making him choose between you and Melanie. You're asking for a bit of consideration. Now, you will lose on this issue because your dad has made his decision. So all I can think to suggest is whether you have a friend who might take Taicho for a few months, or could you go stay with your grandparents and take care of Taicho there? I suspect your dad will be happy with this since it gets him what he wants. NTA, I'm appalled with how many parents are willing to sacrifice their relationship with their children so they don't have to sleep alone. You're almost out of the house. He can wait or suffer the consequences of his massive betrayal of you. Your dad is 100% the a-hole here. He should be ashamed of himself. What he is saying to you is that you can throw away those you're supposed to love if it gets you something you want more. You're more mature and loving than your father, stepmom, or aunt. Your future stepmom doesn't care a hoot for you or your well-being. If she did, she'd wait until you're off to uni before she moves in. Her son is her responsibility, and his needs do not trump yours. You should be actively trying to find a solution that is acceptable to you. She's having second thoughts because she didn't immediately get her way. Your aunt should mind her own business if she can't be a voice of reason and solution. Adding negativity to this situation just makes things worse. Your dad's throwing you under the bus and she's kicking you while you're down. I'm so sorry they're doing this to you. I hope you find a solution that keeps your dog with you. Stay strong.